on your feet. It's the Rebel Hearted Radio Show, the perfect place to set rules, obligations, and expectations aside when you tune in and reconnect with your wild side. Meet your host, intuitive badass, healer, and coach, the original Rebel Hearted woman, Lisa Freed. Turn imperfect action into traction and step fully into the power of who you are meant to be. Now here she is, the badass healer herself, Lisa!
Hey, and welcome to Rebel Hearted Radio. I'm so excited to have you here joining us and listening to this episode. I hope that you are ready for an action-packed episode because we are talking about 1, 2, 3, bring the joy. I have Elisa Joy here. She's the Family Joy Crusader who's helping parents become divine observers to empower their children to really blossom on the path that they're destined to be on rather than getting in the way and trying to control that entire journey for them. So, Elisa, welcome so much to Rebel Hearted Radio.
Woo! Thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited about this.
I'm thrilled to have you on the show. So, but we were chatting a little bit before we went on the air, and you told me you're a lifetime homeschooler. You've got 20 years experience as the Family Joy Crusader, even though that might not have been what you were calling yourself. You've fostered over 40 children, and you have 4 children of your own, 2 from birth, 2 from adoption. Tell us a little bit about that, if you don't mind.
I started out I'm no longer married. That's been 6 years into a brand new journey that's brought me here to you. And I'm so grateful for everything that's unfolded. And then I discovered you and I'm like, oh, there's a soul sister. I'm bringing her on board. And I totally did. I love everything about you. I'm just going to put that right out there. Lisa, you like embody what I want to be when I grow up. So, okay, there you have it. When I started out into adulthood thinking everything was going to work out perfectly because I grew up in a perfect little Christian family and I did all the right things, what didn't work out perfectly after I got married is I didn't get pregnant. And so my idea was, okay, I'm going to adopt. Because I grew up in a missionary family and everybody was my brother and sister. And so, we're going to adopt. And I didn't have that kind of husband. He said, no way. It took 12 and a half years for me to conceive. After 7 years, he was ready to be a dad in any way, shape, or form. So we started that adoption process. I adopted a 3.5-year-old out of foster care. And then I adopted a 3-day-year-old through a private adoption. And then as it often happens, I became pregnant at the 12-year mark, and then a year and a half later, once again. And then that kind of process stopped, and I began the process of adopting 4 more, uniting siblings in our home and whatnot. That was an incredible journey. A lot of people you run into that have more than 3 kids, 4 kids, and then when it gets up to 5, a lot of these people start homeschooling. Because you start finding out time and time again that the philosophies out there don't meet with what you'd like to see happen for your kids. So even within that highly controlling religious paradigm, I brought my kids home and began the process of learning what unschooling was, which does not mean not schooling. It means finding the passions of your kids and feeding those passions. And I stood out amongst my crowd, but all the while, because, everybody's seen the Duggars. I was like that. I had that same philosophy in my mind. I thought that that's how I proved who I was, by submitting to a man, and then God would bless me with more and more and more children. And I'm outside of all of that now. I can see it. I understand it. I get it. The people that are still there, I love talking to them. Because most of them haven't had this unfolded for them gently. Anyway, where do I go with this? Help me out, Lisa. Keep me going.
Tell me what it is that, so you have your story and you've been divorced and you've like removed yourself from the very religious aspects, and you're an unschooler, which I freaking love.
Wonderful. Yes.
And now, how are you helping other people in the world today? Like, how is it that you're helping parents become divine observers?
Okay, so within the context of that traditional homeschooling and then dabbling in unschooling and then going completely that direction, and I have used the school system, and my youngest is in a public school now, but I love it. She's a life coach amongst her friends. And then she'll even come home and remind me of things that I've coached her in. It is so beautiful. I'm going to tell you a quick story. She came in the door the other day and she said this to me, walking in the door, my gorgeous, beautiful 15-year-old. She said, Mom, everyone at school today, I swear, everyone is being a bitch. And she looked right at me and she goes, and that's exactly what I want. I don't want that. And she walks up the stairs muttering to herself, today's an awesome day and everybody's treating me the way I deserve to be treated. Today's an awesome day. And I'm like, yes. Yes. I didn't have to sit down and counsel her out of her rut that she felt like everyone was mean to her because she did it to herself. That's what parenting is all about. I looked up from my work at my computer and I watched her waiting for an opportunity to parent her, sit down with her, coach her, love on her, whatever she needed. I was watching her go through this process of walking in the door. Literally 4 seconds in the door, she was headed up the stairs. She had fixed it herself. That's what I'm talking about. That's the joy that's restored, that you're not spending time wallowing around in drama, cleaning the shit off your kids that they took on in whatever kind of schooling that they've gotten. You get them to a certain place where they clean themselves up and they get to coach themselves, and they are empowered to do that by parents who allow them to be fully who they are. Not to control them, but to be fully. So within that paradigm that I was in, the highly religious, highly packaged, certain set of rules, I was a rebel. I love that. That's what drew me to you, was rebel-hearted. And the rebel part of me wasn't that I was bucking everyone's system. It was that I would quietly ask questions of my friends who were in the same paradigm as me. And they would say, I have never, ever thought of it that way. I agree. And within that paradigm, I had people continually saying to me, now this is before I knew that coaching was coaching. This is where I lived. And people would say to me, Elisa, you love my kids more than I do. And I said, no, I don't. No, I don't. I am just encouraging you to a place. I'm handing you glasses, if you will, to see them more clearly. It's not because I love them more, because I really don't. I love who they are and the potential that they have to be. And I just want to release you as their perfect parent, because that's why they're with you, to see them through a different lens. And to let them be. They're fully complete in what was built into them to do. Just watch for their passions and release them there. Release them into those passions.
Okay, so as a mother of a daughter that is turning 6 on Saturday.
Woo! What an awesome age. Oh my gosh.
Right? Such a blast. My question for you is, like, at what age would you start working with your clients? Like, how old are their children when you start, like, okay, hey, let's look at this?
Oh, pre-birth. You need to start, anything that you're looking into, going to college or whatever. When do we start researching? How soon, Lisa, do you start, what's your daughter's name?
Delaney.
How soon do you start talking to Delaney about safe driving habits? How soon did you start teaching her about how to be safe in the airport or at the grocery store when you're with her? How soon did you start that?
Oh, I couldn't even tell you.
It's automatic. A stranger comes too close to your baby's stroller, you pick up the baby and you move away, or you at least turn your back. We are constantly teaching our children boundaries and safety, or we're giving them from birth OCD, dependency, codependency. We're feeding them every time they open their mouth. And I'm not talking about breastfeeding. That's a whole different thing. I don't even want to go there because it's just so beautiful and so volatile for people. But I'm talking about, your kid is bugging you. You give them some candy. You're on the phone. And so we are teaching our kids codependency in many different ways and teaching them to need us more instead of to become independent in their own gifts. And so to learn about this, to find a friend or somebody that can help reset your mindset before you have kids is so wonderful. Because when the kids are there, it's a little late, but it's never too late to start learning this. By the time your kids have arrived, you could have already become the kick-ass parent who releases that kid into potential and destiny from the time they're there. You start seeing your children's propensities from birth if you're watching. And so if the only thing that you know at first, if you're a brand new parent and you're listening to this, if all that you know is to bond with your kid and look in their eyes and smile at them and don't bring your negativity to their little stroller or their little pumpkin seed, you bring your face close to them and you just be fascinated with that baby. Fascinated. That's the best thing you can do right now. Do that and find somebody who can teach you about kids. Get a hold of all the books you can. Talk to Lisa. My goodness, just find somebody that can help you along in this because it's never too early. I had one of my kids started, I still don't know what she's going to do, but she's a kick-ass performer and jazz singer, and she's the one who's coaching her friends. She probably around the age of 2 started stacking cups. She wanted to know how everything fit into everything else. Do you know how I babysat her when I knew I was going to be busy cooking or whatever? I would set her in a safe place and I would hand her a bunch of cups, disposable cups. And now I don't
let her build it.
Yeah. I don't have those in my house anymore, but when I did use those things, I would hand those to her and she would stack and stack and stack. Then she would unstack. And she loved that little donut toy. Do you remember that donut toy with the ring? I know the donut toy. Yeah. She loved that thing. She would stack it as a 2-year-old from smallest to biggest. And then she'd flip it around. She'd dump them all out and she'd stack them from biggest to smallest. Then she'd mix it up. And I would sit there, I was running back and forth because I was busy when I would give her stuff like this, but I would watch her out of the corner of my eye, fascinated, going, I cannot wait to see what she becomes because she's already showing this propensity for wanting everything to fit. And this kid right now has a place for everything. She's the only one in the house. We're watching her. We're hoping to be like her when we grow up, the rest of us here. But she has a home for everything in her bedroom. Everything's in its place. She didn't get that from me. That's her propensity.
I love that. So because, didn't you know you were going to come on the show to coach me? Surprise. No.
If you're a mom, if you are a mother or want to be a mom, I'm going to be coaching you. If you're not, if you don't want to be a mom, I can take you to a place of more completeness where you mother your dreams into this world. It's all, we're all moms. We're all moms. I just told a teenager the other day, she was saying, you don't understand my problems. The reason I like boys is because since I was very little, my dad rejected me. I'm looking for approval. She was pretty astute about that. And I said, does your mom listen to you? She goes, no, my mom is a babysitter all day long and we're on welfare and the house is a mess and she just never has time for me. This is a 15-year-old. I looked at her. I said, guess what? This has to do with being your own mom, Lisa. Guess what? Sweetie, you are now a young woman. You get to mother yourself and to heal those places. You're your best mom. You are your best dad. You are your best boyfriend. And you are your best friend. I'm ticking these off as my fingers as if you can see me. Because we are our own best mother. So whether you have children or not, you can improve, Lisa, as a mother, even if you're 15 years old. You get to go back to that child who was neglected and abused and abandoned, and you get to hold her. And I can teach you how to do that. You get to hold her and say, baby, I'm right here and you're going to be okay. We're going to get through this together. Can you feel this?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, I see that I've been through that kind of work. I watch other people do that work, and they use different words than what it is that you're using right now. But it's such an important type of work to do in the world.
It's miraculous that we become, and I've been through a lot of that too. I've been through the official therapy and I've been through the woo therapy, and I love it. I love it all. I don't even like the word woo because it is absolute miracle magic for us. If we grab a hold of it and take what works, and this stuff works, to go back and hold that little you from your adult perspective. No one else knows how to heal you better than you, because no one knows you better than you. Not even a therapy that costs $300 an hour. Mm-hmm. No one knows you better than you. And so to give people permission and watch their faces literally change and start to glow, to give people permission to be their own parent, even a 15-year-old who's never been to therapy, her whole life has changed. Her whole perspective has changed at school. She didn't become perfect. She still likes boys. But just yesterday, my daughter came home with a report and said, you know that girl that you talked to here last time she was here? I said, yeah. She said she just wrote this to me, and she read the most beautiful text, that some guy has been hounding her, a guy she really likes, and she's decided he's not good for her, and she walked away. That's never happened for her before. So just to give people permission to make right decisions by parenting themselves in a good direction. You know, she's sitting there waiting for her dad to come around. He's never coming around. She's sitting there waiting for her mom to clean up her act and then to help her daughter, boost her daughter where she should have. I said, what is should? Who should do this? Now that you know it, I'm giving you permission to do it yourself. And she's doing it, Lisa. She's doing it. It's a miracle. And I want to do this. I saw myself dropping her off the other day. I was watching my daughter off. I was watching all these girls walk by with their heads down. And then these boys, and half of these kids just look lost. And I thought, I'm speaking at these schools. I am going into these schools someday and someday soon because they need it right now. And I am going to give these kids permission to be the very best counselor, teacher, parent that they can be.
So let's challenge you to do this. What's the step to get you in those schools?
I'm not sure because I'm a newbie at all of the structure of this business, but I'm learning as fast as I can. I had a CEO offer me a job the other day, and I had to go back. I fell into fear. So this is a coaching to coaches here. And I was like, oh, I do need a conventional job. And he worded it just right. And he ought to know because he's in finance and he's a bigwig and he's paying me a lot of money to coach him. But, he's right. He's got to be right. And for about 12 hours, I got a little lost in fear. And then I went, no. The next time I had a session with him, I said, we need to start this out with me laying it straight for you. I'm not taking your conventional job. I've had the conventional jobs, and because of who I am, I don't fit in those boxes, and rightly so, those people force me back out time and time again because I don't belong there. I'm not an employee. I am a boss. And I need to be where I'm supposed to be so that my message gets out there. And this message is too big and too strong and I don't know how to say it without it sounding egoic. It's not in the least, Lisa. When you know who you are, you have got to put yourself in places where your glare doesn't blind people.
Okay, but we're still at this point with let's find you the way to get to it. And you just said, well, it's because I don't know and because I'm a newbie and because of whatever. But
I'm headed there.
Okay, let's
ready?
Roll.
Okay, so last night, two nights ago, because I've already said yes to this. I've said yes, and it's starting to manifest already. And this gal reaches out to be my friend, and I thought, oh, she's got something to sell me. I'm being very careful who I start conversations with because I'm getting busier and busier. And so I didn't start a conversation with her. I said hi, but that's it. And she kept reaching out to me, and I didn't know what she did. And then on one of these websites, I discovered what she did, and I just glanced at it. And then I asked her, what is that? Do you want me to say what it is?
Sure.
I don't know. Okay, it's called Unfurl, and I know I'm on board, man. I am going to pay for this and find out what it is. One of the key things that she speaks to is 17 to 19-year-olds. Can you hear that dog barking? Do I need to move?
No, it's okay.
Okay, 17 to 19-year-old girls, and I'm like, oh my goodness, mine goes down to like 13. I could talk to any age, but I really want to focus on these young women going into adulthood to catch them as quickly as we can and get them into their true self and their destiny. And so that I was like, holy tamale, this is my thing. Did you like that? I'm trying to be careful with my language.
You don't have to be.
Okay, holy shit. I thought, who is this chick? Who is this chicken? What is Unfurl? So I started asking her about it. We've got, we're going to talk tonight. She's like in another country. And I am so excited because the next thing she did was she was reaching out for people. Does anybody know how to get into the high school market? That's where I'm going. That's where I'm headed. I'm going to do this. I don't know what it's called yet. Maybe a mastermind. I'm not sure, but it's like a retreat thing and coming into yourself. That is the answer to your question is I am open. And I am pursuing education in these areas to learn, okay, what are you doing and how are you getting there?
Okay, but I'm gonna tell you that's taking the long route. You've got schools that are already available to you right now, right?
Yes.
Okay, so reach out. Who are the school counselors? Who are the social workers that influence these people? Who are running youth groups that do this kind of thing? And reach the fuck out to them and be like, oh my God, I'm so passionate about this and I want to bring this to your people. How can we start doing it? Because they need this message, not next month, but right fucking now. Let's do this. And you don't need somebody else's program to tell you how to do this. And you can do Unfurl if that's what you want. But what I'm telling you is right now, there's divine steps for you to take right now for you in your business and for these young ladies that you want to be helping.
Absolutely. And I have a question for you right after I say this. I love that you said that. It's perfect timing because I can do that and I will do that. What my fear has been, and many coaches are all across the board expressing the same thing, is fear that they don't have a package ready to go. They don't have something to offer.
Okay, so this is what you say. Hey, well, how would you ideally like to work with me? Oh, you would
and
like to
then
monthly?
Create the package, right?
Absolutely. If you spend your time, now you can do what other people do, which is create all these fucking packages that may or may not meet the needs of these would-be, maybe, kind of clients that are made up in your mind that you might get around to talking to 9 months from now. Or you go up to the ones that you know that you are already passionate about working with and say to them, I want to help you. I want to get this message in your lap right now, in your sphere of awareness and your sphere of influence. And I want you to tell me the most ideal way for me to do that for you. And those people, they're going to tell you. And then you're going to tune in to your intuition, which is off the charts. You know this. And you're going to be able to say, yes, I can do that. And I can do that for this. And they'll say, hell yes. And there you go. You're already rolling. And that can be done in a week or less.
Absolutely. That could be done tomorrow. I mean, that could be done. You're right. Give it a week because I got to make the appointments with the leaders and get in there. Here's the deal. And I'm speaking for all you coaches out there that are listening to this and you're going, but, because this is my big butt. Are you ready for my big butt? I want you to whack it right off. I want you to put me in shape. My big butt is this and has been, but I'm hearing you and I'm going to do this. What you just said. My big butt is, but I don't know what to charge them. And am I going to appear unprofessional when I approach them? You are so not going to appear unprofessional because your energy of you showing up and saying this stuff like I'm saying it to Lisa, I'm talking to the coaches now out there who are unsure. You know what your calling is. You know what you speak in authority in. You know it full well like nobody else. I don't care if it's fashion. I don't care if it's home design. If you have something to coach, you show up at those places. You let your energy speak for you. And then you tell them, correct me if I'm wrong, Lisa, when they tell you what their needs are, you say, I will get back to you. I'm going to put a package together. I'm going to get back with you on a price, and you can say yay or nay, and we'll work from there. Is that right?
Or you can even be like, what's it worth to you? Like, you want to work with me this way? What's it worth to you? Then they're going to give you a baseline, right? And it's going to be under likely what their budget is, because that's how people are, you know, shit, you don't want to say too much because what if she would have worked for me for less and that kind of thing. So they give you a number and you say, great, I'm so excited to put together a proposal for you. I'll have it to you in the next 2 to 3 days. How's that sound? Yeah. Would you like to meet it Thursday at 2 o'clock or at 4 o'clock? Which one's better for you to go over this proposal?
Oh my God. Lisa, do you know that I'm a writer? I write copy, I write music, original music, drop of the hat, baby. I can write it. I write children's books, I write children's music. My daughters are drop dead singers, and I'm dating a director, writer, producer of the most kick-ass promotional material you can ever imagine. I have in-house a fucking production company. Sorry, guys, if you don't like that word, but I love it. It's the juiciest word in my vocabulary. If I learned a better one, I'd use it too. So there. I have all that, and I'm sitting here for 3 years with all of this fully cognizant in my mind, not using any of it. And I'm saying to you coaches out there, you've got your own production companies. And if you just sat down for 3 minutes, you would know what they are. You have resources. I just talked to the guy that I'm dating this morning over coffee. And I said to him, we could do this. We could start putting together PowerPoints and presentations in a week. In a week. We've got voiceover talent in-house. That would be me and one of my daughters. We've got singing talent. That would be my daughters. We've got original music talent. That would be me. We've got, and we've got the producer. That would be him. We could do this, right, Lisa? I mean, do you see this? Can you hear it?
Well, absolutely. What I can't understand is why you haven't told me what day you're fucking starting. That's what I don't understand.
Yes, I'm going to tell you. Maybe not right now.
Say it on the air.
Yeah. You know what?
You're saying it on the air right now. We're holding you to it.
Okay. You know, we're going to sit down and we're going to have that production company meeting within the next 2 weeks. And I'm going to say 2 weeks because when I get off the phone with you, I have so much homework to do. But when I get off the phone with you, I'm going straight to the calendar that I just started yesterday. And I'm going to calendar in, I'm going to call it an hour a day to hit up at least one school and one church every day.
And what's your homeschool associations like? Like, what do you, like, you're lifetime homeschooler. Don't you guys have little pods set up all over the place where you guys all mingle and cohabitate and try to share ideas?
Oh, so many. Okay, this is what I'm going to do with them. I'm going to come up and my awesome coach, can I say her name?
Yeah.
My main coach, Susan Kate, she is so awesome. Yeah, she knows how to talk to me and get some action out of me. I've got some bruises on my butt to prove it. She told me just that you need to be putting questions out there and having people answer those questions of what their greatest need is, and that is going to direct you to what you're going to do for them. You will get your answers. Why? And maybe you know the answer to this. It is fear, but that's a simple answer. Why don't we just do what we know we can do, Lisa? Why don't new coaches coming into this? Even I saw a coach that's been doing this for like 18 months, and she's had successful clients, and she's still scared to get out there and promote free questions to develop what people need from her. She's actually scared. Why are we scared to do what we do? Can you answer that?
Well, I deal with people all the time because if you move through that fear, if you actually start doing something, then you have to give up the stories that you can't do it.
Those stories are so powerful.
Right? That's why I help women take imperfect action. It's why I take people like you. We just went through it. What did that take us? 6 minutes to go through you can do this, this, and this? And start taking action right then and there.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, absolutely. And that's how we find the people that are dying for literally some of them dying for what we have for them. And how unfair is it for us to withhold ourselves from those people? We got to go find them.
Well, it's absolutely selfish.
You're right.
Not share
Oh
your
my
gifts with
God.
the world.
That's.
I want to talk to you a little bit about like, how do people, like for me, I'm going to use an example. My daughter is in this stage and it's driving me insane. So I need your counsel.
Okay. Is this real?
It's real.
Okay.
It's real.
Okay.
So I'm being vulnerable by putting myself out. I'm going to air my laundry here
Awesome.
on Rebel Hearted Radio. My daughter, and I love her. She's creative. She's curious. She does all these things. And she apologizes constantly. Like if I'm like, hey, honey, let's look at doing that a different way. I'm sorry. Or like, please don't tap my earphone with a quarter when you want my attention because it sounds like you just hit me in the head with a shovel. I'm sorry. And every response is, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Is this a stage that all kids go through, or is there something going on? Because I'm very cognizant of when I say the words, I'm sorry. I'm like, I don't apologize for like, oh, I bumped up against you, you know, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. I don't say, oh, I'm sorry. So where does that come from? And what can I do to support her in not, you know, choosing those words all the time? Because I don't want her to be apologetic for being a kid and lively and excited and trying new things or even doing things that I'm just like, oh shit, we don't do that, honey. Like, I don't want her to apologize for that stuff. I want her to apologize when an apology is necessary.
And you want her to be unapologetically fully herself.
Yeah.
Especially as she's launching into the world in her own destiny. I'm thinking, as you're talking, I'm thinking of what I did with my kids, and I'm not saying that it's right, but my kids are my resume, and they are incredible. When they would say, I'm sorry, because a part of my family used to say that all the time. They'd walk through the room and go, sorry, love ya, sorry, love ya. And I'm like, I don't know what love ya means. I do know what love you and I love you means. I don't know love ya. But that was something I just had to bite my tongue on. But that sorry thing drove me nuts. And so I would look right at them. And if I had something to forgive, I would physically, literally say, I forgive you. But if there was nothing there, I would ask them, why are you sorry? My kids learned very quickly that I'm very literal. And I want to know, if you're going to say sorry, I want to know why. But here's another tool that I gave them. And this works with them, with each other too. And they still do it as adults. When you want to say that you're sorry, if it was just like an empty sorry, I would look right at him and say, don't be sorry, be right. That, you know, because that just wasn't something to be sorry about. Just take a minute to reflect and do what's right. Because sorrow, sadness is different than, oops, made a little mistake, I'm going to correct that. And you just tweak your behavior. If you're going to go so far as to say sorry, I explain to my kids, is there sorrow attached to it? Is there really something to feel sorrow about that you made that big of a mistake? Or was this just childish excitement, which means just control yourself a little better?
Well, you know, I used to coach a women's football team. Not coach, captain. I used to captain a women's football team. And even when I was like the worst player on the team and not officially the captain, I still captained the team. Which if you ever want to swim in drama, do that. It's a blast.
I'm not really big on the drama.
and I started a rule because like women, they'd miss a catch. Oh, I'm sorry. They'd fumble a pass. Oh, I'm sorry. Quarterback would overthrow them. Oh, I'm sorry. They ended up getting tackled or you name it. They were playing a sport. And there were so many apologies. And finally I was like, you know what? I fucking had it. I've had it up past my unibrow about this. If you say sorry and you haven't ran over my cat or, you know, maimed a family member of mine, if you say sorry, you owe me 5 fucking burpees right now.
Okay.
Every time. So that was the game. But I think that that's a little harsh for a 6-year-old to do burpees.
Yeah. I would explain to her the true meaning of sorrow, which is the root of that word. And then I would tell her, if you truly feel that you have wronged me in some way and you need my forgiveness for some reason, then ask for it that way. Would you please forgive me? And I will say, I forgive you. And then it's all restored. But, I mean, and I say it that way because of my background, of course. But that has so worked for my children, because what do most people do when somebody says sorry to them? What's the response? It's okay. It's not okay. If there's something you've done to hurt someone, like what you described, ran over my cat or hurt a relative or whatever, or publicly defamed me, that is something that needs to be righted. And sorry does do it, to say I'm truly sorry. But the response does not need to be, it's okay. If it's a true situation that has brought sorrow to the two parties involved, or maybe even more, just to say sorry and then the other person say it's okay, it's not okay. So to say I forgive you kind of brings more of an equilibrium. It's kind of like a loan transaction where a debt is forgiven. They even use that in banking. And so that is a very healing process. I did that with my kids from a very young age, probably 3 years old, where I would hear them say, sorry, it's okay. And I'd say, but it's not okay. And they go, well, I forgive you. And to just watch them soften towards one another and see those little teeny tiny moments of healing was a beautiful thing. Here's the second thing for you. Okay, I'm thinking of the tapping on your microphone when she wants you. And that does drive you crazy. It literally sends shock waves into your brain. It happened when your voice started coming through my earbuds, and I wasn't prepared. And I about fell on the floor out of my chair. So I know that something that you're not expecting that's tapping into your brain, it affects you at a neurological level, and then it changes your endorphins and everything. Everything gets in it. Your adrenaline rises, and you want to react. That's why it drives you crazy, because you've got all this adrenaline that needs an outlet, and too many of us use our children as the outlet because we perceive that they're the ones that well, anyway, you know how adrenaline works. You get really strong. You get really strong in that emergency moment. And that's why parents are totally freaking out and losing it. And then they feel really bad about it. So what I did with my kids is I taught them tools. With that situation where they want you really badly, and whether you're in a conversation or on the phone, I taught them, lay your hand on me. Lay your hand on me and I will know that it's there. And the way I confirm it for them is I lay my hand on top of they still do it as adults. I lay my hand on top of their hand and they know I'm next in line. And look at all the affirmation you're doing. You are actually sending waves of positivity and love into their cells with your hand on top of theirs, just like a hug. And you continue with the process that you're in, with the conversation or with the radio show or whatever it is. And that child is affirmed with your hand on top of theirs that they are next in line, that they're important to you. So if we give them tools like that, hopefully, unless there's a rebellion problem, which you as the parent are going to have to look a little deeper for that, and you will get the divine download if you are open to it and looking into the heart of your child. Your love for that child and your destiny as their parent will give you the wisdom to deal with those rebellion problems. But if it's just an annoying, childish thing and they want attention, you give them tools that work for both of you. And for me, it was lay your hand on my arm. Don't say a word. Lay your hand on my arm. I'll acknowledge by laying my hand on top of your hand and you're next in line. Does that make sense? I did that with 40 kids in an aftercare program. 40
I absolutely
kids.
love it. I love that tool. It's fantastic. So another thing that came up, like when we were first starting the show, and I've loved what we have talked about thus far, but what I want to know a little more about is what for these parents who didn't start pre-birth and whose kids might be 6 or 8 or 15, and they're at this place where they're like, holy cow, Elisa Joy, she's sitting here talking about really knowing, like, empowering the child to live their destiny and being aware of the propensity of that child. What's the tool that they can use to just get started to watch for it and to look for it and to affirm what they're seeing?
The parent?
Yeah.
I've got the tool. It is the same tool that every one of us needs to use, and that it's almost daily. I'm telling someone, or I'm reminding my kids, or they're reminding me of it. And it's 3 steps. And this is what my whole program is based upon, this right here. When you identify what it is you want to do, what you want to accomplish, no matter what it is, no matter how small or how large, from coaching seminars like Brendan Burchard does, or any of these big names, Steve Harvey, whatever. You want to be a comedian, you want to be a public speaker, you want to fill stadiums with 30,000 people, or you want to get through to your teenager that you feel disconnected from. No matter what it is, you have a reason that that's not working out for you, and I call that your no's. And you can hold those no's in your hand, and you can hold them tight. And that vision that you have is a gift from the universe being extended to you. You already know it's yours. The success of your children, are you kidding me? Do you not think that for every single child and every single parent that the universe is on their side with that vision to see their children freed into their destiny? Of course it's a yes. And if you have a vision like me to speak these truths into the very hearts and souls of these teenagers that feel hopeless right now, to go into the schools and to do that, oh, absolutely, the universe is on my side. That's why I have this desire. Okay, so what are my no's? You're helping unpackage that. We can identify, and I walk people through this, identify 1 to 3 solid no's that you are clutching in your hands so tight that you can't fit anything else in your hands. And so I ask them to hold on to these things with their fists facing towards the ceiling together, like they're holding on for dear life, skiing on water. Okay, you're water skiing and you're holding on to that thing. But inside of your hands are all of your no's. And then I walk them through a process of how to let go of those so that now their hands are empty and open. And the universe can now hand them the gift that's already theirs. But would you give your kid a BMW just because they wanted it? Would you give your 3-year-old the keys and set them behind the wheel? You wouldn't. Would you give your 13-year-old? Lisa, would you give your 23-year-old, imagine your daughter grown up, and she's 23 now, and she doesn't know what the hell she wants in life, but she wants that BMW. Would you give it to her yet? In your wisdom, if you knew she wasn't ready for it, you wouldn't give it to her. No matter how soon you bought it for her and had it covered with a tarp in the garage waiting. You would wait until she could handle it. The universe is the same way. You know what your gift is. You know it's in that box. And the only thing that's keeping that box locked, am I yelling my head off or what? I feel like I'm screaming at you. The only thing, that's what our sound guy's for, right? The only thing that's holding that box closed, Lisa, is the padlock of your own belief, your own mind. And it's those no's in your hand. And so let them go. There's a whole process that I take people through this. And then you watch them ascend and go away. They're gone. And then you do this. You say yes to that gift that's already yours, already extended to you, but the universe, in its wisdom, has not handed it to you on top of all your no's, because you might drop it. You might destroy it and crash it. And, no, you can't have it till you let go of your no. So here's the formula. Let go of your no, your doubts and the reasons why not. I can't get through to this kid. Here's some no's. I can't get through to this kid. He's always been this way. She's been defiant from day one. There's nothing I can do about it except survive teenagerhood and kick them out into college. We have all these no's. I'm not equipped. I'm not a psychologist. I don't know how to deal with these problems of my kids. Let their teachers and let the school counselor handle it. We have all these no's. I was abused as a child. How can I be a good parent? All these no's. Let go of your no
Then say yes to that thing that you want to do. And what you're talking about, the example here, is saying yes to getting through to my kid, to getting through in an effective way that releases them into their destiny one step closer while they're still with me. So you say yes to that vision, and then here's what you do. Are you listening? Because it's really complicated. Are you listening, Lisa?
Yes, I am.
You rest.
Excellent.
That's it. Because what's going to happen from getting a parking place at the mall to changing the life of your kid, what's going to happen when you do that and then you rest is you're going to know the next step. I'm not kidding you. Sometimes it happens in seconds because that gift has been given to you. That wisdom has been given to you. You're going to know. I'm not saying it's not going to be hard. It's going to be just like labor when new birth is happening, but you know that the output is going to be awesome and you want to do it. You're going to want to do it, but you just rest in the process. I've been saying this a lot lately. When you hang on to a baby in gestation too long, you or that baby's going to die. Don't let it happen. And the best way, any doctor's going to tell you, any delivery room nurse is going to tell you, any doula is going to sit there right there and make sure you do this, is to rest and flow with the process and push when it's time to push. But by God, you're going to feel like pushing, and you know it, and I know it. You're going to know when it's time to push. Don't hold back. Rest into the process, and when those labor pains hit, you're going to know it's time. And you're going to birth that baby in good time. I had an aunt who she didn't know, they messed up on the due date, but she didn't know that. And she's cruising through this pregnancy. It was her first son. This is like 40 years ago, and she still grieves about it. She still cries when she talks about this boy. The day before her delivery, they were going to go ahead and induce, and this was a long time ago, so this was still all new. And the heartbeat was fine, but they were starting to show some stress. So they said, come in tomorrow. We're just going to induce anyway. We're just going to induce even though you're not showing any signs. She came in, and tomorrow was too late. They redid the math. That baby, she had to go through, they induced her. She had to go through the whole delivery process for a dead baby. And they found out they did the math wrong. It was a month earlier. She should have had that baby, and it got too big for her womb. Do not hold your vision in. Don't hold it in. Let go of your reasons that you're saying no. Let go of them. Don't question it. Don't go into, but I don't have the degree, but I can't afford it. Stop it. It's not for you to decide that shit. It's for you to let go of the reasons you can't do something. From parenting correctly to coaching. Oh my God. Let go of your reasons. Just say yes to what you know you want to accomplish, and then rest, because it's gonna come. It's gonna happen.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So we are running out of time, and this has been like, it is just like flowing by.
Woo!
I want to share the card that I pulled for us before the show, and so that it's for the listeners, it's for you, it's for me, and then I want you to be able to tell us how people can find you and how to work with us, okay? So I will go through the card real quick, and then we'll go from here. So I have this beautiful deck, and it's called Beautiful Creatures Tarot, and it's by J.R. Riviera, and the artwork is done by Jasmine Beckett Griffith, and it's just so gorgeous. And the card I pulled was Seven of Earths. I can see that you've done all that you can do. Now you'll be waiting for everything to come gracefully to you. The keyword is progress. A beautiful blonde maiden has taken time off from her busy schedule to pay a visit to this abnormal land that has become completely redundant. Everything is abstract and lifeless. Nature and time stand here, feeling compassionate yet pitiful regarding how how things have been left abandoned and to what the place has become. She gathers her natural resources and has taken it upon herself to restore a little bit of life and activity to this land. She sits and waits and diligently observes the hands on the watch moving slowly. She waits until everything goes back to its normal form. She wasn't going anywhere anyway. So in a reading, this card represents waiting upon what has already been completed to flourish. This is like step 3, the rest.
How perfect.
Right? At this moment, it's time for you to sit back as eventually everything begins to prosper again and develop gracefully. Even though a small amount has developed, enjoy it as a reward. While you're waiting, learn to observe carefully and see the value of the hard work, time, and effort that you have invested with dedication.
So I got to say one word to that. It's gestation. You just sit back and rest. We need to tell the listeners that I had no clue that you had a card and that you pulled that card. I had no clue. I kind of knew you were doing something beforehand, but you didn't tell me.
Yeah, I just pulled the card and then put it in there, and I always reveal it sometime during the show, and it felt like, oh, this is a good time. Surprise! This is what the card was.
Yeah, there comes a time to rest in the gestational period of production inside, and those miracles and magical things are happening in the cellular level. But then there comes the time to give birth. Yeah.
I love it. So, Elisa, how do people find you?
Well, I have this brand new email address I've set up. It's called ejoyrising@gmail.com. It is solely for this. So if you reach out to me at ejoyrising, RISING, that's not my last name, but it's what I'm doing, at gmail.com, be my first people checking in there, and you're going to get stellar attention from me. The other way is Facebook. I'm Elisa Joy Torres on Facebook, and you'll get to know me a little bit there. Anything else? Is there any other ways to find me at this point? No, I think that's it. My website is almost ready to launch. That's going to be eJoy Rising as well. It's on Wix, but I don't know what that address is yet. I'm that much of a newbie, and it's going to be beautiful. So
awesome.
You get a hold of me via email or Facebook, and I'm all yours.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. You have been an absolutely fantastic guest. It has been a blast. I forgot to mention this is your first ever radio show, so we just got your cherry. And
woo-hoo! Yes, you did. I am no longer virginal on the radio market. Here we are.
I love it. So to everyone listening, please make sure that you let Elisa know what you thought of the show by dropping her an email at ejoyrising@gmail.com, or ask her any questions that you have about how you can help empower your children to really embrace their divine destiny.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Join me on Facebook, and I tell you, I sound all badass here. I am a lover. I can be so tender with you, but I'm also going to be tough like this because I know what I'm talking about. And I've got the resume and the fruit to prove it, my kids and other people's kids. And it's just, I absolutely adore doing this and setting people free into parenting or just in any age into their destiny. I love it. This is what I do. It's my passion.
I love it. So thank you for being a fantastic guest.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you to my production team for making sure this show ran smoothly. If you listened to this show and you heard that little back and forth with Elisa and I was like cutting through some of her bullshit of her excuses and coming up with an action plan. We did so in 6 minutes or less. And you want some of that, please come to rebelhearted.com or find me at Rebel Hearted Women on Facebook, and we'll get you that same kind of support and jumpstart to your business. Until next week, I wish you a day as absolutely freaking beautiful as you. And next week, I've got an absolutely rocking guest. Kimberly Lynn Pollard will be joining us as the Troll Tamer. I look forward to talking to you next Tuesday. So much love. Mwah! Bye for now. Love you.
Thank you for joining us on the Rebel Hearted Radio Show. Is your wild child still left wanting more? contact Lisa further at rebelhearted.com and step into your rebel-hearted self.